Hi, I'm David Esrati. I'm running for Congress in Ohio 10, which includes all of Montgomery County, Greene County, and parts of Clark County. The reason I do these live streams every day, Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock, is because I want you to feel like you can connect with your congressman. Something Mike Turner wouldn't know anything about since he hasn't had a town hall in 20 years in office. So, my goal is, once I get elected, live stream at the end of every day, tell you what's going on, answer your questions, and be connected to the community, because that's what an elected representative does. A career politician spends all his time raising money and going to parties in Washington hosted by lobbyists and special interest groups. That's not my deal. That's not what I want to do. I want to represent you, and I want to make sure that you get the best government you can get for your money. So, I'm a small businessman, have been since, 1988. Opened the doors here in 90. And when I say here, it's an old corner grocery store that I bought for $2,200, rehabbed. Had to fight the city for to turn it into an office space. And I own it. It's an ad agency. It's called The Next Wave. I don't have a lot of employees. We're strong and mighty, small but mighty. And we multitask. We do multiple things and multiple talents, and we work together. But I gotta tell you, during COVID, one of the things I did was I switched from a sole proprietorship to an LLC. Now, first question is, why was I a sole proprietorship all those years? That's a good question. Stupidity maybe, or because I felt that I could stand behind the quality of my work and I would always make my clients more money than they paid me. And it worked out pretty well. I never had any problems with any clients, didn't get sued, etc., etc. But with COVID, I had just collapsed the lung and broken a rib playing hockey and gotten 2 chest tubes, and the likelihood of me having respiratory disease and dying from it was kind of increased. And I wanted my employees to be able to have something, and if I died as a sole proprietorship, so does the business. So I incorporated. I made an LLC. And that's where problems began. Needed a new employee identification number, all the payroll tax things. There are a bazillion different things that small businesses are expected to do to make all this work. Never mind registrations with SAM, the system for, it's the government contracting website, or my service disabled veteran owned business certification, or my D&B number stayed the same, my cage code, all these things had to switch. And it was a lot of work, and it took a long time. You know, when I started in business, it was pretty simple. You bought some software, bought accounting software, you owned it, and you plugged in your numbers for your payroll. You know, this much for this much for that, and it would calculate it, no extra charge, no extra fees. Boom, you're done. You do your payroll, you pay your taxes, you're good. They started splitting things up. And it says we're having bad connections here. I don't know why. That's a bad thing. I'm sorry about that. But so Intuit split off payroll and made you pay separately. And then other people were available to do the same thing. And they'd integrate with QuickBooks and this, that, and the other thing. And I got to tell you, that got all cheesed up through the switchover. So my question is, why is it so complicated just to pay people? Why do we have to pay a third party to figure out how much we pay our employees in taxes and our part, their part, all these other parts? Why doesn't the government just have a single website that you go in and report your payroll, your taxes, and we can keep really good track of employment, unemployment, underemployment, and tax collection all in one place? Sounds pretty logical. Why are we still operating with systems designed in the, 1910? When we have computers that can do all this stuff and we have the internet? So, a small business payroll system that's totally open, totally free, that small businesses can use, bing, bang, boom, you're done. That is one of the things I want to push in Congress. Now, along with all that, there's also the question of paying taxes. Small businesses don't have huge accounting departments and tax lawyers on staff. They have to rely on small businesses to do that. We don't typically hire Arthur Andersen or Deloitte & Touche to do our bookkeeping. So, small businesses need a way to file their taxes, and there's a whole cottage industry of small business tax preparers. Franchise, non-franchise, and these guys get slammed every year at April 15th. Now, imagine if we did this with driver's licenses. Everybody renewed on April 15th. Can you see the lines at the motor vehicles? The Bureau of Motor Vehicles? Could you imagine that? Does that make any sense at all? Why are income taxes, business taxes, all due April 15th? Why isn't it on a revolving schedule? Why don't we have them 1 month to the next month to the next month to the next month? Wouldn't that make a hell of a lot more sense? Pretty simple solution, and makes it a lot easier for all those small businesses to survive the rest of the year, and cuts down the stress and fatigue both on our side and for the IRS, who has a constant flow of work instead of a deluge on April 15th and the few filing deadlines afterwards. What an improvement that would be. Another issue that is absolutely mind-boggling is when we have government intervention in business in the form of, quote, economic development grants and funding one business over another business or recruiting businesses. We saw NCR recruited out of Ohio to Georgia. And then they got recorded one place in Georgia to another place. Who is benefiting from this other than the CEOs and the shareholders? Because the employees having to move and uproot themselves and possibly lose their jobs if they don't follow, that is horrible. Need an example? Take a look down at LexisNexis down on 741, where they all of a sudden said, hey, we're moving to the Research Triangle in North Carolina. Join us or be gone. Those buildings are sitting empty and sold for pennies on the dollar, hurting our property tax base here. We lost a lot of income tax when they moved. And who benefited? I don't think North Carolina benefited either, because they probably gave the company huge tax breaks to come there. This has to stop. If we want to incentivize economic development or behavior, say electrifying transit or electrifying car, building a network of car chargers. For electric cars, let's do that, but make it everywhere. Equally, the opportunity to anybody who wants to come out and put one out can get the same benefit as long as they provide the same service. Every economic development dollar has to be an equal opportunity economic development dollar. The idea that Ohio is somehow improving things by recruiting Intel to go build in a cornfield, where then they're going to need all kinds of wider roads to get there. People are going to have to get jobs there, and move there closer and expand the need for additional housing for all the construction workers and then the employees. It's just a huge suck on resources, and it causes sprawl. Instead, why don't we offer a tax credit to employees and to employers that have employees that can walk to work? No wear and tear on the roads, no use of oil, no carbon footprint. Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? And it's really easy to calibrate. How far you are from the house to your office, your commute, the shorter it is, the higher the tax credit. I suggested that a long time ago. Didn't go very far. We can do things to solve multiple problems if we use a creative approach to thinking about how to solve them. So, small businesses, One of the other things we need to look at is all the fines that are imposed on them for missing deadlines and missing filing requirements and not complying with different rules and regulations. Basically, we need to start figuring out which rules are causing the most confusion and think that it is the rules' fault, not the small business's fault. So once again, if we had that portal for paying payroll taxes and for setting up your company straight from the start, which has all this stuff put up in one place, I think we'd have a much easier relationship with small business, who would then have the ability to actually focus on what they need to focus on, which is making money, creating jobs, and making sure their employees are happy and healthy. And the last part of that is, how do a small business compete with healthcare? By the way, I hope you like the new graphic we put up here, and been meaning to do that for a while. Anyways, but small businesses can't compete with Amazon for healthcare. Amazon's buying it for 500,000 people or 1 million people or whatever. They get huge bulk discounts. The insurance companies fight hand and foot for that kind of bundling. And small businesses don't have that kind of leverage. So my solution is quite simple. Small businesses in America should have the ability to buy in to Medicare. Period. End of story for every one of their employees. Self-employed people buy into Medicare. Just set a rate and do it. And I guarantee you, pretty quickly, the leverage will switch from big companies to small companies, because we're already paying for the health care no matter what. If you go in and you don't have insurance and you've got a major injury, the hospital writes it off by charging everybody else more for their care. If everybody's covered one way or another, we all benefit. So, solve a bunch of problems for small business. I'd like to solve them for all of us by going to Washington after you elect me on November 8th. I'm running against Mike Turner, a career politician who's made an awful lot of money by accepting an awful lot of money from the military-industrial complex. He also took a lot of money from the home builders, and I hope you're getting your money's worth right now, as all your prices are going through the roof and you can't figure out how to build new homes on spec anymore because the prices are unstable. Blame Mike Turner for that. Don't blame the Biden administration. Don't blame the Democrats. Blame Mike Turner, because you gave him a lot of money and he's not helped you. I think there are better ways to do things in America. I don't think it's a question of big government, little government. I think it's a question of better government. I'm David Esrati. I'm running for Congress to be your better congressman, your better elected representative, who meets with you every day at 4, Monday through Friday, takes your questions, responds right here in real time, because that's what an elected representative should do. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. If you got any questions you want answered tomorrow, put them in the comments and we'll go from there. Have a great day. Thank you.